Hey everyone, it's me, Chris from Body Nova Fitness Coaching. And today we're going to talk about the 6 best exercises to target your hamstrings, to light up your hamstrings, to help you build them and help you make them stronger so they can do what you need to do. Now, as I go about this list, some of these exercises are exercises that you may not have heard of, but they work really well, to get the job done. So I added a few in here, a few new ones in here. So we're going to look at studies and things on research that's going to give us a good reason to include this exercise into your program, because most people don't put a lot of effort into training their hamstrings because it's on the back of their legs and they can't see them. But when you want to build that complete physique, or in some cases with some of these exercises, when you want to use them to help improve your posture or help you improve athletic performance, they should be in there. The battery died, so you notice a change in outfit as I do this video. Okay, another great hamstring exercise is the good morning. Now, the good morning and the stiff-legged deadlift are going to be somewhat similar, but with the good morning, the bar is on the back. Okay, so with the bar on the back, it's going to be a little bit harder to deal with the weight because the weight's going to be on your shoulders and you're leaning forward, so that weight is going to be further away from the hips that's doing the movement. Okay, but it's a great exercise for hamstrings. I like to make sure that I run my feet across the floor as if I'm trying to grab the ground with my feet, and that's what brings my torso up instead of just trying to raise the shoulders, because sometimes if you don't keep your core tight and you raise the shoulders, it winds up extending the spine more as opposed to extending at the hip, so you get a little more back action instead of as much hamstring. All right, is another great exercise that I call it the Hamstring Leg Press. It's basically the leg press, but then your feet are up higher, and I usually go wider. Wider will allow you to hit the glutes more, but you can also bring the feet into shoulder width, but you should not be able to get down as deep. Now, when you're doing the hamstring version as opposed to the one that works the quads or the normal leg press, you don't want to straighten your legs out all the way. You want to keep them slightly bent, because as you straighten out all the way, those quads will take over and help with the lift. And I want to keep tension on the hamstrings, so I want to get down low and get about 3/4 up and then get back down low again. Another favorite of mine, as you already know, the trap bar deadlift. Okay. Trap bar deadlift, as opposed to the regular deadlift where the bar is in front of you. With the trap bar deadlift, you're inside the bar, so you're actually in between the weights, which allows you to get down deeper into a deadlift, and you pay less of the penalty with your low back and more on your hamstrings and glutes. Swiss ball leg curl. I like to do them on one leg, but even though most people have the leg strength to do it, the problem with that is controlling the pelvis, and that's where people fail when they're doing this exercise, because you have to rotate the pelvis up and tight and bring your belly button towards your rib cage. Okay, and you have to hold that position, and that's why this exercise is great, because for a lot of people working glutes and stuff like that or trying to correct their posture, this exercise is a great complement to the hip thrust and the glute bridges, because it's a very similar movement, but then when you finish those exercises, you're not necessarily required to tilt the pelvis up. But in this exercise, you are, and you hold that. So you got the one element that increases your flexibility and increases your ability to recruit the abs to tilt the pelvis up, and then you're actually doing the motion, which also helps those muscles get stronger and then shorten and correct the posture. So that's part of why I like this. The other is when you're doing the one-legged version, it really, really engages the hamstring, because you have to grip the ball with your heels. This is our number 2, okay? And the difference between number 2 and number 1 is going to be apparent, but the stiff-legged deadlift is one of the deadlifts that gives you more isolation of the hamstrings. Yes, it does hit the glutes or give you some glute activity, but there's not as much glute activity as there are of the hamstrings, okay? So you got the part of it where it does help you correct your posture because it's a hip extension exercise, but it also hits your hamstrings more than the others because there's less bending of the knee. It's less relying on bending of the knee because the legs are stiff or almost completely straight. All right. And last but definitely not least, this is number one. This exercise is just basically here based on common sense. It's a one joint exercise that isolates the hamstrings, and there's other benefits too. We're going to talk about the leg curl, okay? The leg curl, because it's action as a knee flexor. So that's basically as you're bending your knee, you stand up and you're bending your leg like that. That is knee flexion. So as you're performing knee flexion, okay, in the study where the leg curl beat out the stiff-legged deadlift that I'm going to recite to you, there's one thing that's interesting, okay? When they looked at it, they looked at the activity in the hamstrings, the stiff-legged deadlift did activate upper, which is closer to the butt, all right, and lower, closer to the knee, hamstring, fibers of the hamstring, okay? Both the leg curl and the stiff-legged deadlift had the same amount of activity at the upper portion of the hamstring, okay? The leg curl had more activity at the lower part of the hamstring. Now, this is not to say one or the other, because the internet, we like to simplify stuff so we can seem smarter than we really are. What this really is this is a reason to make sure that you have both in your programs, okay? You hit more of the lower fibers with the leg curl. And in this study, it was the lying leg curl, the one laying on your belly. But of course, you know, you got standing, you got seated, you got kneeling, and they're all great, and you should have them in your program or have some sort of rotation going. But this study, they talked about the kneeling leg curl. Okay, so with this kneeling leg curl, the thing that people don't understand is where a lot of people are having ACL injuries, well, your hamstring group is a protector. It helps protect you against those types of injuries. And it's not as a hip extensor, of course, because this study is showing us that there's more activity at the upper part of the hamstring, okay? It's at the lower end, okay? And they're even saying in this study, this might be why the leg curl protects you from injury better than the other exercises. So this is a definite must that you will keep in your program. There's all kinds of different ways to leg curl to make it more effective. Some people will extend the hip and squeeze the glutes by having their chest a little bit off the bench. Some people just drive their glutes, put a pad on the bench and just drive their hips into the bench, and that will help you engage the hamstrings more. But the leg curl should definitely be in your hamstring program if you're trying to build or strengthen your hamstrings.